Fuel stations empty. A truck drives along the road with the high hopes of making its next destination as it cradles on the tip of its supply. The shelves start to run low. News alerts and market crash warnings. How does Australia collapse? Wow. It's not because of war. It's not because of money. No. It's because of the fuel. And when the fuel runs out, then everything stops. Australia imports most of its fuel. That means petrol, diesel, jet fuel. Almost all arrives by sea. If these supply lines are disrupted, they cause problems. And if the fuel completely stops, within months, Australia feels the pain. A person goes into the supermarket and starts to notice gaps. There are very few bananas left. What has happened to the banana delivery? The story gets out that the delivery truck was unable to acquire diesel at its usual stop. The supplies are delayed as more trucks start to have the same problem. As the fuel stations run dry. Panic buying begins as the people buy up what supplies they can before they completely run dry. This isn't a possibility because this has happened before, when people believed the supply lines were going to dry up and a virus was going to take over. People panic buyed. As the fuel shortage continues, transportation costs rise. Businesses can't operate normally. Food can't move effectively. And now, the construction industry is affected, and an already weak housing market, and multiple deadlines for houses to be built. Australians now feel a pinch. The Australian Security Exchange begins to fall. Investors react, but it isn't just panic. It's a sign that the real economy is under stress, and that this problem will last longer than they expected. Now the stock market has been affected from the fuel shortage. The Australian Security and Investment Commission monitors the market carefully, and the Reserve Bank is called upon for relief. and a call for the interest rates to be dropped. Unfortunately, it's too late. Emergency funding may bring relief. However, it does not restore the fuel. Government regulators start to call upon suggestions, and a complete ban to home delivery of food services is brought in. And fast food stores are forced to barricade their drive-thrus to prevent the motorists from needlessly wasting fuel, as fuel has now become more rare than gold. The Liquid Fuel Emergency Act of 1984 is activated, and the government now has control over the fuel. Not just pricing, not just supply, but distribution itself. Fuel is no longer a free market product. It has become a controlled resource. This act gives them the power to give all emergency services their fuel first, followed by food transportation. All other industries are left to fend for themselves. Limits and restrictions are placed upon every Australian, and more people panic. The government has taken control of their ability to move around. Modern Australia depends on constant movement. Food isn't stored long term. It's delivered daily. But now, with the restrictions on the vehicles and their transportation, fewer supplies make it to the store. Panic buying begins. And the laws brought into play, the Corporation Consumer Act of 2010 to prevent price gouging, and the Biosecurity Act of 2015, once used during COVID, also comes into play, as the people realize that it is no longer just an economic problem, it's now a physical problem, and people are not happy. The government issues a plan to acquire EV vehicles in mass quantity to try and relieve the fuel problem. But the people have already started to protest as their jobs were lost, food became scarce, and people can't access their fuel. Frustration had grown to the point where the government had to make response. They turned to the Emergency Management Act. This allows them to control movement, direction, and issue emergency orders, much like the COVID era. The problem begins to grow. Violence begins to hit our streets as people fought over the last piece of food in a store. Then the unthinkable occurred. The fuel shortage to the world had hit a critical level, and they were unable to deliver the vehicles to Australia by sea. And Australia's already shut down car industry has left Australia open to only one source of fuel. As the situation escalates Australia-wide, the government may declare a national emergency under the National Emergency Declaration Act of 2020. This enables controlling federal response, faster delivery making, national resource control. In addition, the Defence Act of 1903 may also be used to assist with transportation, logistics, and infrastructure protection. As we arrive at our fuel stations, a military officer is present to watch our every move. And as the Australian financial system continues to collapse, the Banking Act of 1959 and the Corporations Act of 2001 has come into effect, and the government takes control of the financial system. But they don't restore normal life. The system is about to go on a radical change. Australia made plans to create more electric vehicles of their own. However, with a collapsed economy, they were forced to do away with it and create a new economic system. Australia does not fall apart, it adapts. The system emerges where fuel is controlled, movement is limited, essential goods are provided. You still live your life, but the system around you has changed, because in the end, the economics doesn't run on money, it runs on energy. Your energy. You own nothing, and you are happy. So the question remains, how long will Australia function without fuel?